So, one other part of the timeline that I've not really pointed out, but is also very important to this timeline, is the Great Awakening. Now, the Protestant Reformation kind of grew over time. When it actually reached its peak was the Great Awakening. That was really when we began to see these new set of people come along, because before America, it was all about, monarchies and kings and queens and all of that. It was all about, a, the ruling class and then the masses. But then America kind of introduced this idea of, a country where everybody is equal and equal under the Creator God. So the Great Awakening was really when these, you know, um, these freedom, liberty induced people kind of came out, because before America was born, that priest-like, theory, the priest-like paradigm that was really dominant before had to be broken, and that was one of the reasons why the founders decided to separate the state from church. They had to break that hierarchy. That hierarchy was one of the things that really, held the Catholic Church down, and one of the reasons why the founders were skeptical about, Catholics in general. As if you remember the first, remember this quote: "History, I believe, furnishes no example of a priest-ridden people maintaining a free civil government." So before that time, it wasn't a thing. America made it a thing. So the Great Awakening was that separation from that priest-like system, and it happened between 1730s and 1740s, and it was based on a few core tenets. And first is that the formal ritualistic religion, which predated the Protestant Reformation, was a false premise. Two, individual salvation and a personal relationship with God was paramount, not just church authority. That was very important. Three, salvation is available to everyone, not just the elites. Four, faith is about inner transformation, not just outward obedience. Five, churches shouldn't rely solely on tradition or hierarchy. This was the foundation of America. So you could even say that America was even a subset of those Protestants that, sprung out of the Protestant Reformation. So these were the people who created America, because America's Constitution and Bill of Rights are all just a rephrasing of these core tenets. That is what, and that is one thing that many people have forgotten. These people that created America, these were different people. These were different. Let's go along to the second timeline. So this timeline was after the creation of America, and this really showed how things went south. Actually, easy to miss it, but let's just go through it one at a time. So in 1828, the Democratic Party was created, and Andrew Jackson was the first Democrat president. From 1828 to 1850, tensions arose with relation to slave and free state. Now, when America was created, it was created by Protestants, and it was predominantly Protestant. However, there were still two factions. Faction that really understood, that, those core tenets, that which was, we are all equal under God. And then the other faction that really, said, no, we could actually own slaves. And really, that was the second real problem America had to eliminate after eliminating Imperial Britain, or imperialism with Britain. So the soul of America wasn't really fulfilled, at founding, because of slavery. And some of the founders tried to abolish slavery, like Thomas Jefferson, but he just couldn't. There were just a lot of slave states, and they needed that coalition to defeat Britain. But then eventually that issue sprung up, and America had to fight it. So 1854, Kansas-Nebraska Act. Democrats reignite their pro-slavery policies when adding Kansas and Nebraska to the United States. The Republican Party is created in opposition to. So the Republican Party was created to oppose the spread of slavery to other new states. So initially it was like, okay, you states that already have slaves, we're going to go on with you. But with the new states that we are acquiring, we are not going to allow slavery. But the old states said, why not? And that was where the conflict came in. 1854 to 1859, Bleeding Kansas. Pro-slavery Democrats and anti-slavery Republicans factions dug it out. This was quite a bloody time, and there was a lot of skirmishes here and there, and kind of what we are seeing now. And this was just all leading to the Civil War. So 1860, the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, wins the election, and he wins on a platform on stopping the expansion of slavery. The Democrats freak out, and they secede the Union. And that was what the Civil War. But this is the thing. Civil War was won by the Union, as the Republicans, and after the Civil War, slaves were freed, and Democrats were essentially sent into decades of exile. Now, post-Civil War Reconstruction, this was when Republicans fixed the damage that came out of the Civil War, and more and further consolidated power amongst Republicans. And now this is really where things, kind of as it gets interesting. 1877 to 1913, this is the Gilded Age. This is the Progressive Era. This was actually when America took off. Trump and MAGA run on this catchphrase, "Make America Great Again," but they really don't know or can't tell exactly when America was great. This was when America was great, the Gilded Age. This was when the vision of the founders actually, materialized in the time. They couldn't abolish slavery, but they wanted to, but they couldn't. But it's when it happened, America became its true self. This was the true soul of America. When these Republicans then abolished slavery, and really, really emphasized, or made that core idea of freedom, be a reality. And that was when America was great, and it actually, translated into real, results. Industrial boom, steel, Carnegie, oil, Rockefeller, railroads expand, urbanization accelerates. It's like Chicago, New York, and Pittsburgh grow rapidly. This was it. This was really the birth of modern civilization, and it happened during this 1877 to 1913, and then 1913. That was really when things kind of went south.